Deep breaths, Cameron. Deep freaking breaths. Honestly, I'm not sure if this is really gonna help to me anyway, but what's good, YouTube? This is Cam chilling back again with another video. I can't believe this has just happened. I can't believe it. Now, it was probably gonna happen eventually, I guess. I just never thought it was gonna be yesterday. In case you guys didn't know, yes, the Packers lost. To who? The Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears. By a score of 24-22. Obviously, the game doesn't really matter too much per se, unless if you want to say that the Packers are trying to push for the number 6 seed. Hopefully, you would get a better matchup in order to move up to the 6th seed. So, if you want to say that this game mattered, you can say that if you want to. But man, now the Commanders did beat the Cowboys, so it doesn't really matter now anyway if whether or not we beat the Bears or not. But still, the Chicago Bears? We lost to the Bears? Now, in my opinion, I didn't think this game really matters too much to me there anyway, because obviously the playoffs is a different type of season than the regular season itself. But the Bears? We lost to... Let's take a look on our offense. And speaking of offense, wonder what happened there in that game. This kind of reminds me of that Vikings game the week before. The play calling was questionable and certainly a ton of those in this game. I don't know what we were doing. Now let's start off with Jordan Love. Now, when you look at these stats right here, 7 of 12, 69 yards. He got injured in this game. And that's the second time we see him get injured in the season. If you remember, early in the season, it was against the Eagles. I think he had that knee injury at the end of that game. Well, he got his elbow hit when he was trying to toss that ball up to Josh Jacobs. I think that was trying to make the play and thankfully get positive yardage there. But that hit on Jordan Love, that's the most important thing. He even said that his arm didn't feel right. His hand wasn't like, you know, when you try and get a grip of your arm, when you're trying to grab the ball and even try to throw it. He said he definitely wasn't feeling it at all on his arm. So he had to get taken out throughout the rest of that game. And it happened, I believe, in the second quarter, the beginning of the second quarter, I want to say. But thankfully, it was nothing serious. And the Packers are saying that Jordan Love should be ready to go into the playoffs. So at least that is great news to hear about Jordan Love. But Christian Watson, not so much. In a game that literally doesn't really matter to me, at least in my opinion. Now, they did say that Romeo Doubs was out for the game. In fact, they just announced it this past Saturday that he was feeling sick, right? And Christian Watson, I believe Christian Watson didn't practice all week right before this game, I want to say. Yet he was questionable, but I was like, okay, I don't expect Christian Watson to be out here. I would say let's just rest him, like make sure he gets ready for the playoffs because we're definitely going to need him. But you still want to play him there against the Bears. Like, can't you just get, like, someone from the practice squad or something? Like, we don't really need him. And guess what? He got injured. And it was a non-contact injury. When he was trying to run a route. In fact, he was injured before Jordan Love, by the way, in case you're wondering. But yeah, it was a non-contact injury. I'm sure a majority of us Packers fans does not want to see. And you clearly see him. He put his left hand across his face as he was riding back from his cart, being taken into the locker room. It was not looking good. And yet, today, that is officially confirmed. As Christian Watson has a torn ACL, going to be out for the rest of the season, out of the playoffs. Probably wouldn't expect him to be ready by the start of this season there either. So he's going to be missing games for next season as well. So what was the point of putting Christian Watson out there? Why would you risk your best player out there in a meaningless game? That just doesn't make any sense to me, but oh well. Anyways, back to the quarterbacks. So since Jordan Love was out, Malik Willis ended up starting, and he had a really good game. He completed 10 of 13, 136 yards. He got sacked 3 times, though, unfortunately, including taking that big hit from Kevin Byard, the safety for the Chicago Bears. And boy, that hit was just, oh man. Thankfully, he was okay on that, but still, that was a big hit. And that big hit, of course, that was a fumble, and the Bears ended up recovering. So, that was unfortunate there. The running game for the Packers, they did a very good job at it. Emmanuel Wilson was the leading rusher with 14 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown. He looked really, really good against the Bears. Chris Brooks, 8 carries for 59 yards. Josh Jacobs didn't get a lot of action because they want to save him for the playoffs. 6 carries for 44 yards and a touchdown. And overall, as a team, they ran the ball 33 times, 183 yards, and 2 touchdowns, an average of 5.5 yards per carry. So once again, they did an amazing job here in the running game, which is not surprising to me because they have been very, very successful at that throughout the season. So very great for the Green Bay Packers, although it doesn't really say much. And you look at the wide receivers, Malik Heath, he ended up with 3 catches for 53 yards. He was the leading receiver out of this group. Dontayvion Wicks, he had 5 catches for 49 yards. Jayden Reed, 2 catches for 48 yards. Tucker Kraft, 4 catches for 36 yards. So a pretty decent day for this receiver group. But again, that doesn't really say much because there is a lot of mistakes that went wrong here on this offense. So one example is you're going for on the 4th down and 3, right? I want to say that the Packers were down 14-10 at the time. They went for on the 4th down. You decided to go on a wide receiver sweep with Jayden Reed. It's not going to work. I mean, you know that the Bears were not going to get fooled by this. I mean, it did not work last season. I don't know why it would work now. Stop using the jet sweeps on the 4th downs. It's not going to work. Like, what are we doing? It just makes no sense. And even on the 3rd and 6 one time, I think it was the play before, in fact. 3rd and 6, you still decided to run. Like, what are we doing? Why are we being conservative? For what? For what? Yes, your running game is strong. Did you forget that Malik Willis has a good arm in him too? Did you see the games that he played when he was asked to be out there on the field? Did you see those passes he was throwing? He was looking really good stepping up for Jordan Love. Why are we running the football when we are down? Especially on 3rd. This is just laughable at this point, man. This is so laughable. We had to settle for a field goal inside the 2-minute warning. What are we calling a timeout for? Why are we calling a timeout? There's no reason for that. You can literally just run down the clock until that play time hits close to 0, like around 1 second left or something, and you just call the timeout and go for the field goal. Is Matt LaFleur taking Mike McCarthy notes or something? Because that was embarrassing. I was wondering if that was Mike McCarthy out there coaching for the Packers. Like, did he return to the Packers? Is he the head coach again? Because I don't know what in the world that was. He kind of pulled off the Chicago Bears there against the Detroit Lions. Remember that game? I think it was a Thanksgiving game, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, Matt pulled off the Chicago Bears clock management thing, if you know what I'm saying. That was bad. Now, luckily, Brandon McManus was able to make it a 55-yard field goal. I mean, this guy has been amazing since he wore that Packers jersey on. I mean, this guy is just incredible. And speaking of the Bears leading, they had -4 yards of offense and they lead by 7 points. Man, that is just so laughable. And I bet this is more laughable. When they were up 14-3, I think they had 20 total yards of offense. Well, 20-something yards, I should say. Do you know how crazy that is? I think they just made history in the books. But yeah, Caleb Williams. He completed 21 out of his 29 passes, 148 yards, 1 touchdown. He only gets sacked 1 time. And once again, that pass rush, we only got 1 sack against Caleb Williams going up against possibly the worst offensive line in the NFL, in Chicago Bears I'm talking about. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks got 7 sacks on Caleb Williams on the Thursday Night Football right before the Packers game, and we only got 1. This pass rush has been inconsistent a majority of this season, and they showed it once again. And speaking of Caleb Williams, he completed that wide open pass at the end of the game to DJ Moore, who had a good game there, by the way. But DJ Moore was wide open when they were setting up for the game-winning field goal. Almost similar to the other time that both of these teams met, right? Remember that blocked kick by Mr. Carl Brooks himself? So I definitely do not understand what that call was at the end of the game. Did Joe Barry come back as a defensive coordinator? Because I thought he was not there anymore. But you know what? It's fine. Oh, it's totally fine. Nah. Keenan Allen even threw a pass that led to the interception. Out of all people, Keenan Allen has an interception. And that interception came from Xavier McKinney, by the way, who earned his first Pro Bowl in his NFL career. Shout out to him. Congratulations to Mr. Xavier McKinney. Thank you for everything that you were doing for the Green Bay Packers this season. This guy is just incredible. That is now his 8th interception of the season. Just 1 interception shy from Kirby Joseph, who was the safety for the Detroit Lions, who had 9. But Xavier McKinney has been absolutely phenomenal for the Green Bay Packers. And I'm very lucky to have him as a Packer. Thank you, New York Giants. Now, the bright side for the defense, they were able to stop the running game just like they've been doing most of the season. DeAndre Swift, now he had a touchdown, but he only ended up with 65 rushing yards on 20 carries. So we were slowing him down. And 83 yards total there of rushing for the Chicago Bears. They've been very good there at stopping the run, which is something that I don't normally see from this Packers defense. Nor you would see the Packers run defense getting gashed and getting ran all over by normally these teams, but that has not been the case this season, and I'm very glad to see that. Look at the receivers. DJ Moore ended up with 9 catches and 86 yards and a touchdown. Keenan Allen 3 catches for 25 yards. So DJ Moore obviously was the leading receiver. He was really good here against the Green Bay Packers. Even with those 24 points, the Bears wasn't doing much there on offense there either. As you can see these stats here, the Packers has outgained the Bears with 300 and something yards to the Bears 224 or something, right? And yet the Packers still lose the game. Now again, it probably doesn't matter whether or not the Packers win or lose this game because the Commanders were able to beat the Cowboys. So the Commanders still end up with the 6th seed while the Packers are the 7th seed once again. The youngest team in the NFL again this season, just like last year. Now, we're going to see what happens in the playoffs, man, because that is not a great way to end the regular season, coming out with 2 straight losses. And by the way, do you know how lucky we were to have that blocked field goal against the Chicago Bears? Not this past game, but the first time that we met the Bears, right? We would have been 0-6 against the NFC North. That's how lucky we were to go winless against the NFC North. I mean, 0-6. Now we didn't have that, but still, 1-5 is bad. Whatever happens throughout this season, we got to do a better job here in the division next season because that was bad. I mean, getting swept by the Vikings, swept by the Lions, 2 good teams, and 1 loss to the Bears. Anyways, got to do better against the division next season. Now, the regular season is off the books now. We are officially in the playoffs. This is a new season, so the regular season does not matter anymore. It depends on what each team does in the postseason. So yeah, the Packers are officially the 7th seed. They're going to be taking on the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia, which is obviously going to be extremely tough. I won't be surprised that everybody's going to be picking the Eagles over the Packers. Now, you never know what can happen because remember last season, everybody picked the Dallas Cowboys to beat the Green Bay Packers, and you guys see the result for what happened. So perhaps the same thing could happen here for the Eagles, although except the Eagles are not the Dallas Cowboys because, you know, the Cowboys are just afraid of the brightness of the light. Like the lights are too bright on the Cowboys, and maybe the light isn't too bright for the Eagles. I guess we'll see what happens there. But anyway, terrible loss for the Packers to end the season, especially against the Bears. but now we're heading into the playoffs. So congratulations for winning your Super Bowl yesterday. I hope y'all enjoyed this one. And I hate it. And it's going to be the last time you're going to be beating the Packers here in our house. And I forgot to mention, this is the first time that the Bears has beaten the Packers in Lambeau Field since Jay Cutler back in those days. Remember him? It was back in 2015 when the Packers did like a ceremony for Brett Favre back in the day. And Jay Cutler and those Bears ended up ruining that game for the Packers. And yet, I'm gonna say the Bears ruined it for the Packers because the Packers are already in the playoffs anyway. But it still hurts. I mean, it just left a bad taste in my mouth. Anyways, congratulations for winning your Super Bowl, Chicago Bears. Pretty much that's been something you've been wanting to do almost every single season. Like every single season, it's like, we gotta beat the Packers. We gotta beat the Packers. We gotta beat the Packers. And yet, you did it. You finally got your Super Bowl trophy. Or do you want a cookie or something? Now let's see what you guys can do in the offseason, and then we'll see when we meet you guys once again. But there you go. Those are my thoughts on the Packers-Bears game. What are your thoughts on this game? You can put your comments down below. I would love to know. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and also please subscribe. And until next time, this is Cam Chillin', and I am signing off. Peace.